You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go.
Yo, let's go.
Good morning. Welcome back to the pod.
Welcome, everybody.
Happy Thursday morning. Every Thursday morning, we are doing our Free Thinking Thursday. And thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Welcome, guys, to another Thursday morning. Hope you're having a wonderful day so far, and it'll get even better.
And for those that are not aware, we always put these up in the morning for the hustlers, shakers, movers of the world that love starting their day with us. This week, we are recording on Wednesday night. This episode will be live in less than 12 hours.
Absolutely. And for context, for everyone out there, Matt, I know that you have been grinding the gears, burning the candle at both ends, working like a dog. Catch me up. Catch the audience up.
Whoa.
What's been going on?
This week has been crazy. First, I've called in to other people's shows for this week. I think I did 3 or 4 or 5 of them. I don't remember anymore. And I'm in a phase right now where people are like, hey, can you come to my show? And I'm like, sure. I don't even know who they are. Some of them are bigger. Some of them are smaller. At this point, I don't even think I care. If you want me on your show, I'm down.
So is this and you and I talked about this offline a little bit, but is this kind of the phase of kind of being open to saying yes to pretty much anything and everything? Not that you're, trying to dilute quality or anything, but it's just like, I'm open, I'm here, I'm ready, I'm available. Let's see who's out there, right?
This is a warm-up to Yes Week. So
okay.
I'm going to have an official Yes Week where I don't care if you have 5 people listening to your podcast or you have 5 million people. If you want me on, and I don't care if you're like the craziest, most liberal left that I absolutely disagree with everything on, I don't care if you're trying to set me up. If you invite me for Yes Week, I will say yes.
Why didn't you include the other side, the radical right?
The radical right. Because I feel like I may have already been on those.
Probably. But I don't think you've been interviewed by a Nazi yet.
I don't think so.
Are Nazis radical right or radical left?
I'd have to sit on that because
the reason I'm asking a question is it just popped up in my mind, and I don't think I have a good answer. I feel like I defer to that it's radical left, and I don't know why.
I feel like each side would be like, no, it's the other side.
Yeah. Probably. So you've been going on all these podcasts. Are we going to get clips from these podcasts, or
Maybe. Who knows? I did a Korean news show, which was interesting.
really?
Yeah, it was like a local Korean conservative American news show. And he had a green screen, like real like news broadcast, etc.
Awesome.
And I did the interview in English. He translated to Korean during our conversation. He was phenomenal, by the way.
Wow.
I think the name of the website is News and Post.
But your Korean is good.
Not good enough to hold like an interview about politics.
Wow. Understood.
Right? It's more conversational. That's good at. But to have really complex discussions, I don't know. And I thought that was interesting. First time I tried that before.
What was the focus of the topics that he was talking about?
He was just really excited to see another Korean American on Trump's page. Really? And that got him really fired up.
Really?
And he messaged me like, you're Korean American, you're local to Georgia, you have to come on. And I was like, I don't know. I don't like, news really isn't my thing.
Right.
But he was like, I'm so excited. Just the idea of possibly having you. I was like, all right, like why not? So I did it, and the experience was phenomenal. And he was really good, and his entire setup is super professional. Just one guy with multiple screens, running OBS, running StreamYard, running all these things. Like, how did you figure out how to do all this stuff?
He's a one-man show.
I don't know how to do this stuff.
So did you learn any tips or tricks from him?
Just that you got to grind.
Yes. How long has he been doing it for?
He was one of the original founding members of the Korean Broadcasting Association in Korea.
A KBB? KBS?
Whatever the organization
KBB is a bank. KBS.
And he was in there. He came to the United States, I think, in maybe early 2000s. And he's been doing his own news website ever since. He reports news back to Korea sometimes. And I think and he used to be a liberal because they're all liberals when they come.
Of course.
And during the 2016 elections, 2020, and COVID, he was like, I think I like this other side better. And mid news media, he switched. And he lost a bunch of people
I
because
was about to say, I bet he lost some of his audience for
yeah,
that.
what's going on here? But a lot of people stuck around. Like, wait a second. Our values align more with the conservative side. Our family values, our fiscal values, and we all thought that Trump was a racist that hates us. But now you're telling us differently. And because he's one of the leading Korean American voices in the Southeast, he's been to like the Republican Committee, National Convention. He's been down to Florida for whatever the big event is there. He said he sat down. He had an opportunity to speak with President Trump's pastor.
Oh, interesting.
And that changed his mind completely.
Oh, tell me more. What does that mean?
So he had a conversation with the pastor. And the question was, because he's a man of faith, the broadcaster is. And he asked him, is Trump a man of faith? And he was like, his progression over the years and his adoption into more faith-based type of ideologies has been huge. And when he heard that, he was like, huh.
Interesting.
He didn't see that coming.
It's I appreciate this story, Matt, because it shows a real progression of waking up, and nothing that you've expounded on, nothing that you've communicated here is really extraordinary. It's just the fact that he's in the game, he's receiving more inputs, he's being open-minded, a free thinker, and the fact that he was able to take those ideas, internalize them, consume them, digest them, and then realize that maybe he needs to start speaking more in this direction as opposed to this direction is really, really powerful. I think there's a lot of people in America and globally that are going through that as well, that they're progressively realizing that there's other side to the narrative. What's his name, by the way? Make sure that we give him props here.
Mr. Hong.
Mr. Hong. So Mr. Hong, thanks for watching the Matt Kim podcast and having our amazing host here on your show.
And I've had messages from other Korean Americans throughout the country, and they say, I want to introduce my parents to a conservative Korean podcast or Korean conservative news show. And in Korea, there aren't many. The Korean media leans heavily
absolutely
liberal.
Yeah, I know. I live there.
So if you're one of those that have reached out to me in the past, asking me that question, because a lot of people have, can you introduce a channel for my parents? Because I want to have these discussions with them. I don't speak as much Korean. I would love an opportunity to expose them to more conservative ideas. News and Post, it's a good one.
News and Post, guys. Check it out. Check it out. So that was one of 3 or 4 that you've done this week. What's the other ones that you've done?
I did a gentleman called Jovan Pulitzer, and he was a part of the Arizona recount, where he was doing forensics.
That's a sticky subject.
He was testing the paper. So his premise was that Chinese-made paper has bamboo fibers in it. And American-made paper, which the ballots are supposed to be on, would not have those fibers. So he started doing a forensic, and they canceled him. They kicked him off. He owns a bunch of patents about QR codes and smart guy.
Is he an independent investigator, or was he hired to investigate?
He decided, I'm going to do this.
Independent.
And they don't like that.
They don't like people growing a brain and doing research, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was on his podcast. That was an interesting conversation. I mean, it was more about me, but leading up to it, I did a little research, and I would love to talk to him more about the fibers.
That is an interesting angle. I think that's something that should be brought up more.
I think that's fantastic. I think that's so smart. Yeah. What about paper? How come the paper's not matching?
Exactly.
And they're like, you can't ask that. And he's like, what do you mean?
Well, you can't ask the question?
Yeah, no, you're not allowed to ask questions.
Oh, geez.
Especially if you're going to question the integrity of our elections, which are fair, can't do it.
I remember when we had a period, I think it was just a couple years ago, during the height of lockdown, where the mainstream media was literally telling us, don't do your own research because that'll get you in trouble, which is absolutely bonkers to me that we live in a world where the talking heads are telling us not to do research. Trust us because we're the ones who are supposed to tell you what to do. Amazing.
We also had a interesting episode that dropped this week with a guy that's become a good friend of mine, Sky Corbin.
Yeah.
And We did music on the podcast for the first time.
I really enjoyed that podcast. I really did.
Number one, his sketches are funny. I can't believe he did a KKK thing with a KKK hood on. That's hilarious.
The fact that you showed that on the TV, I was rolling on the floor. I didn't think you were gonna do it, but when you guys threw it up there, I was like falling in my chair. I was like, oh my gosh, you guys show the white hood, bro, canceled.
I'm just thinking about him home on his couch, on his table, cutting out KKK hoods
Cutting out
to
these
make a sketch.
eye holes, right?
Cutting out eye holes and like sewing it together.
Can you imagine getting caught in the middle of cutting out eye holes out of like a pillowcase to
Like
make a
if
hood?
someone just walked in at the wrong time, they're like, oh.
Literally, you have your dick in your hand, right? And you're just like, I can explain this, right? I can explain this. Please give me a second, right?
So definitely go check that episode out.
I just had an image, Matt. And I don't know if this is safe for work, but I don't know. Maybe this is just my quirk. It's just maybe this is my quirkiness. But how funny would it be if people turned on the show and the first thing they see is both of you and I in white hoods? Bro, like, dude, people would just be absolutely shocked. They'd be like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Can we pull that off?
I mean,
we're not white. We're not black. The whole KKK thing was between races that did not involve us.
not wrong.
We're technically third-party observers on this. So could we rock some hats?
Rocks, you're calling them hats?
Just for the show. Not like in real life. Or how about rock, scissors, paper, lose, gotta wear it outside?
Do you think who would be more offended, the KKK or African Americans?
Who would be more mad that we're the one that weren't?
Well, we are in the middle of the cancel culture world, so that's a great question, Will. I'm curious. Who would be more upset? Would it be black people, white people? Would it be Jewish people? I don't know, man.
Or the actual supremacists?
The actual Nazis. Man, you know what? I feel like we should do that just for shits to see what happens.
I feel like that has to be a live thing. So there's nowhere to hide, nowhere to edit out.
Guys, wait a minute. I know it looks awkward, right? I know this looks funny, but right.
Imagine coming into a live stream late. And you're like, oh, what the hell did I just walk into?
Is this a Klan rally? Is this what y'all doing?
We're not doing it.
Well, I got a real question. If we were to wear white hoods, but we have small eyes, but all we have is eye holes, could you tell? Like, can you tell that it's a joke? Because, you know, we have small eyes? Or would it be like, oh, these Ku Klux Klan, just small eyes? I don't know. Like, how does that work?
Bro, all I have is these images of us sitting here in hoods talking with our heads bobbing up and down. You can't see our mouths moving, so all you see are these eye holes with these chinky slits in them. Bro, I'm like sweating now, man. Yes, we should think about that in more depth and see if that's something we want to do.
Can we point out that I love your shirt?
Oh,
I don't think we've mentioned that yet today.
Thank you, guys. I hope you guys can see this. This was $19 on Etsy. $19 on Etsy, and I really just, it was a spur of the moment. I just figured, you know what? I should support what's happening, and this is the best way that I can do it for $20.
If you would have paid $25, he would have got a T-shirt that fits.
Burn out. Exactly. And here's the thing: nobody knows whether I support him or not. It's ambiguous.
Is it?
No, not really. He's a good businessman. But I am wearing the shirt, guys. Might be a mainstay.
I think you should rock it more. I challenge you to wear it outside. It's a conversation starter.
The question I have to ask is, are those the conversations I want to have?
I mean, you should wear it next time you go talk to Karen, your neighbor.
Bro.
You should wear it in your conversation with Karen.
She would lose her shit.
Excuse me, Karen, but did Amazon deliver my package over there?
She would lose her shit. She'd be cussing me out, bro. Oh my goodness. So we're talking about my neighbor who's literally a Karen. Her name is Karen, and she's all up in my shit all the time. She's the type of woman who will literally yell at you on 4th of July for lighting fireworks off. Like, bro.
You need to wear that shirt and go over there.
You know, I almost feel like it wouldn't be worth it without a camera.
You could go over
right?
there.
Because you got to record like these conversations. Like who knows? There might be guys who'll be like, "Yo, bro, that's legit," or there might be guys like, "Fuck you." Who knows? You have no idea what the responses are going to be.
You gotta go over there and be like, "Hey, Karen, I just got my Amazon delivery shipped over here. It should be a white hat with holes cut out in it. I wonder if you received it or not for me."
Bruh. All right, so let's get back to some wholesome content. You had some amazing podcast with a singer-songwriter who is now doing kind of comedic stuff. Tell us more about that. Obviously, you guys launched the episode just the other day.
Yeah, I thought it was great just to try something new. I think it's gonna spur a new series of content. So I'm gonna call it Undiscovered Live.
Ooh.
Where we find interesting artists within the area, bring spotlight to them, get to know their story, what they're about. I have no idea what a lot of these people I'm going to reach out to are about, what side they sit. Just to bring people that I think are talented, give them a voice, and maybe we find someone interesting. The person that I did reach out to, when I was in Hilton Head month and a half ago, 2 months ago, the last day we were there, we were out, the weather was beautiful, and I was with my wife, my daughter, and we sat there and ran into this most random guy singing and playing his guitar. We sat there for maybe a good 30 minutes, an hour, just listening to him sing. It was just the best night. Perfect time of night, like 8 p.m. The sun was slowly going down, like the best summer evening. And we sat there for the longest time, and I found his name, and he had a little Cash App thing. And as soon as I did the thing with Sky Corbin, I was like, I want to get this guy on.
Oh.
I have no idea what this guy's about. All I know is that in my life, a memory that was so important to me, that I got to share with my family, with my daughter, that I'll probably remember forever, that moment. I just wanted to talk to that guy that was there that day and that helped create that movement.
That's cool.
So I reached out to him. I was like, hey, you probably don't really know who I am, but I do a podcast. If you want to come out here, I think he's in Charleston. It's like 5 hours away.
Not too bad.
And he's like, dude, I'm down.
Wow.
Awesome. Let's do it.
That's
so he's
cool.
coming in like a couple weeks. So that'll be episode 2 of Undiscovered Live.
Amazing. I love that. So are you I don't want to put words in your mouth. Are you offering up the opportunity for artists? Because we have a pretty broad swath of viewers and subscribers and followers. And I would have to imagine that some of them are pretty successful artists in their own right. So are you offering that out? If you're an artist or anything like this, to ping you and let you know that they're interested in coming on, or are we not there yet?
I don't think we're there yet.
Okay.
I think we need to work out the kinks, maybe allocate that role of booking and interviewing and maybe a little bit of research.
Understood.
To somebody, maybe Will. And then we could possibly get more inbound. But that's not what we do. This is experimentation mode. You know?
Fair enough. And actually, I think one of the things the audience appreciates is that for those who have been with us through this journey is that we're okay with being transparent and showing our experiments.
Yeah.
We're not always going to get things right. So some episodes, let's be honest, some episodes could bomb.
Correct.
I don't think any of them have majorly bombed, but you understand my point is that we're willing to show our flaws. We're willing to show their experiments live, and if they work, great. If they don't, we've learned something, right?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up listening to a lot of Howard Stern, and he's a little left loony now. But
He's totally left loony.
But growing up, he was the guy that challenged authority, did whatever he wanted. Like, I liked him then. He's not the worst. He's a left loony, but he's still really good at what he does. So I respect that. I loved that he would bring in, people that maybe even a singer that I wasn't that familiar with. He would talk to them, do some commentary on them, and they would play it live. And then they would talk about the song. And it was more like, remember that show, MTV Unplugged?
Yes.
Where they would do that?
Yep.
Interview them and they would go acoustic. I loved that.
Yeah.
So maybe we can roll into something very similar. I don't know.
That was during MTV's transition away from music and only to shows, which pretty much destroyed all of MTV. But we're talking about hosts. We're talking about music. You have a particular individual that you appreciate and respect who has invited recently on an artist that was, before a couple months ago, was relatively unknown. His name is Joe Rogan. And he invited on an artist recently, just like you've invited an artist on this week. And you've told me kind of, off the air here before we before we started recording, is that the Oliver Anthony interview with Joe Rogan has maybe changed your mental models about, or maybe your respect for Joe Rogan. I might be getting this wrong. I'm curious, though. This might be an interesting segue into that.
So, did you watch it?
Absolutely. I watched the entire Oliver Anthony and Joe Rogan interview.
So, I thought Oliver Anthony was very honest, genuine, open. He was talking about his struggles, his depression, why he does what he does, how he rose to fame, the overwhelming part of it, a lot of it.
Yeah, his faith, his views on politics. He was really transparent, which I appreciated.
I love that. He tried to educate Joe a little bit and bring up the reason for his faith, to bring up scripture that resonates with him.
And he doesn't mind reading scripture when he has the opportunity to do so.
Which I thought was amazing for him to do. And Joe Rogan decided that he was going to take this opportunity to try to prove to Oliver Anthony why religion and faith are necessary.
I thought you were going in that direction. That was probably the lowest point of that interview for sure.
A guy came out there pouring his heart out, talking about his struggles, how faith and scripture helped him recover. And I don't feel like that was the opportunity or the window to be like, well, do you know what? There are other stories that are really similar to Noah's Ark and the flood, and therefore, like, I don't know how relevant it is. Have you heard of Graham Hancock? And he has these different theories about the timing of it, I don't think was awesome.
Yeah. It was one of those moments when I was listening to it when I was just like, bro, let the man cook. Like, let him keep going. Like, why are you going off on this tangent and trying to persuade him of these other ideas when he's telling you something that means so close to his heart, that was transformative in his life? I thought it was very ill-timed. It was a little uncouth for sure.
And Oliver Anthony would try to interject and get his point across that this is important to him. And every time he tried to do it, Joe would cut him off and go down his, I know more about this than you do. Therefore, fine, you believe it. Yes, it may be relevant to some people, but hear my take.
Right.
My take is the real take. And I thought that was really close-minded too. And I don't get that feeling from him often. But for some reason, this idea of faith and Christianity really rubs Joe Rogan the wrong way. So much so that he has to prove to the person that's professing their faith that you are wrong. And I thought that was a really odd thing to do.
I found it odd because I've watched a lot of Joe Rogan. I have often found him relatively open to all religions and being open to different perspectives and not being generally critical. Now, he does a great job at asking good questions, but he rarely goes down the prescription route, which was kind of what he did with Oliver Anthony. Is he went into the prescription route. It's like, hey, I know what you're saying is legit. It might be completely true for you. However, and when you add in the however, it's just like, man, ill timing, bro. Let the man cook. Let the man tell his story.
Yeah, I mean, usually he'll let people kind of tell their side of the story, even if he doesn't agree. Let's hear a different perspective. Let's hear it out. Let's hear it through. And then maybe it'll change my mental model a little bit. Even when Oliver Anthony was talking about his depression and how that struggled, he was like, oh, you got to get your shit together and you got to do this. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Let him say his piece. Let him do his thing. If that's how he feels, this is not a time to correct someone's behavior.
Well, and also it's almost actually impossible to correct someone else's experience, which is where you get into really rocky territory. It's like, bro, this is my experience. Why are you telling me what I should have experienced? You know? And so would you say that this created a kind of a little bit shade on your thoughts around Joe Rogan? Or is it just one of those, there's a chink in the armor and it is what it is. He's human. He made a mistake.
I also think a big thing that they missed was letting him perform. Instead of playing his songs, they could have let him perform his songs.
I was actually going to bring that up, is that he really should have allowed him to play because, I mean, people really love live music, and especially one-on-one. I mean, for Oliver Anthony, literally be across the way, and if he would be able to sing, I thought that would have been a capstone.
That's true.
On that
He had Jewel on before, and Jewel performed live on the podcast, and that was really cool.
You have to wonder, because he's under contract, right? I almost have to wonder if there are provisions there are stipulations in the fine print that you and I and the general audience would never know about, but he knows about. These are lines you can't cross, things you can't talk about. And I almost wonder, and I'm curious as to whether he is actually consulted to before he does interviews by his owners and his masters and saying, hey, we know that you've booked Oliver Anthony. We don't want you to talk about X, or we don't want to talk about Y. I don't know if we'll ever find an answer to that, but I'm curious as to how autonomous Joe Rogan actually is, because the leash, he has a leash. We all recognize that. He's getting paid, right? And with a leash comes provisions, comes stipulations, comes contractual obligations that he has to meet. So I wonder sometimes if his message is getting watered down and diluted because he is not allowed to speak about certain things. What do you think?
I will let you know when we get there.
Joe Rogan, you have an amazing guest in Matt Kim. Check out the Matt Kim podcast. He's an awesome guest for you to be on.
I don't know if we want to get on Joe Rogan. I think we want to get to a place where we're able to do what he does, which is interview pretty much whoever he wants.
I will say, as a lasting effect of the Oliver Anthony and Joe Rogan interview, I think what is a powerful takeaway is, as we continue to grow this podcast, as you continue to shoot to the moon here, it's a good reminder of humility. And you have a lot of that already. But, you know, when you start having these bigger interviews and meeting bigger people, I know you're going to stay humble, you're going to stay grounded, you're going to stay close to family and all that stuff. But at the same time, you could probably say the same about Joe Rogan, right? And so I think humans are humans. We make mistakes. We do get caught up in the fanfare and the stardust, right? And the stardom and the fame. And so I think it's one of those nice, early, humble reminders from one of the people that you deeply respect in the podcast game to stay humble, to stay grinding, keep your head down. Something like that.
I mean, the fall of all great men is always pride.
Hubris, absolutely.
Right? Fly too close to the sun, get too big, stop taking into account other people, think you're better than. And that's every man in history, that's been the downfall. It's not health, it's not fighting, it's their own pride.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you know, Bruce Lee said, be like water.
Yeah.
Flexible, etc.
Absolutely. So let's pivot a topic, because there has been it's not new, but there has been some interesting press around our previous president. Yes. Some interesting press. And frankly, this week is a big week, because we just had I don't have my watch on. I don't wear a watch. But about 2 hours ago, we had Tucker Carlson drop a really, really interesting, and I watched the whole thing on 2X because I needed to get it done before I got here, but a really interesting interview with a really interesting character who had relations with Barack Hussein Obama.
So Larry Sinclair and Barack Obama, Barry. Tucker mentioned something about that in an interview last week, and I kind of felt like he was going to do a follow-up with it. I didn't know that it was leading to an actual interview.
Yeah.
So he mentioned it in a clip, I think with Adam Carolla.
Yes, Adam Carolla.
And I saw that clip, and I was like, I never heard this story before.
Oh, really?
Some people like, how do you not hear it? I never heard it.
Oh,
I
really?
hear all these crazy stories.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know this one.
I didn't know. First time I heard about this was in, I think, 2012.
I never knew it. So I had to do my own research, because I knew, who is this Larry Sinclair guy?
Yeah.
And I found there's a book, there are court trials, there are sworn testimonies, there are other podcasts he's been on, unlimited content from this guy. And then I found his original press conference.
Yep.
And I watched it. And I was like, holy shit, I feel like this guy's telling the truth.
My first thought was, I'm surprised he hasn't been Clintoned.
Yes.
Like, you can't be talking shit about someone like that.
I think he just did it so much at this point that if he were to disappear, everyone's like, we all know why. Maybe that's why. I don't know why. I don't know how this guy's still alive. But I watched that press conference, and I was shocked at the amount of detail, amount of openness he had. He had an answer for everything, and not in like this arrogant, like, I want to tell you everything kind of way. Like, literally ask me whatever you want, and to my best of my ability, I will answer them. And I believed him.
Yeah.
And he looked a little coked out.
But he wasn't shifty.
No.
Right? You know someone's not being honest when they act shifty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he wasn't shifty at all. So he was really pulling it from experience and memory.
He did not have that lawyer vibe. He didn't have that politician vibe. He didn't have that
There's no polish.
nothing. This is just kind of a little bit awkward guy that was smarter than I assumed he would be. Dropped some gems later.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I can't believe, like, I'm watching this going, okay, this guy's going to be a joke. And I read all the articles about him. This guy used to be a convict. He was convicted of fraud. You know, he has history with drugs, all this stuff I read. So I watched this interview thinking this guy's going to be a joke.
Now, we're 3 minutes into this context and this topic, and some of our viewers might be thinking, what the hell are they talking about? So, Matt, what are we talking about?
A gentleman named Larry Sinclair allegedly met Barack Obama in 1999 in Chicago via a taxi driver, a limo driver.
Yep.
They got together. Larry Sinclair actually gave Barack Obama $250 to buy him Coke. He purchased it. Then Barack Obama, from his pocket, whips out a crack pipe. He smokes.
Gotta
They
be
get
ready.
frisky. They have a little fun.
Oh, what type of fun are you referring to, Matt?
I feel like you're better at this.
Well, actually, I am a DJ, and I've done a lot of things, except the one thing we're about to talk about.
So they had a little sexual affair.
Yes.
And the next night, Barack Obama just shows up at his hotel room, and they go for another round two.
Round two, baby. Come on now.
He knew the details from exactly which hotel room, what the name of the limo driver was, what phone he used, what phone numbers he called. He said, I have the phone numbers and times of every single conversation and text message, and I've given it to Sprint so that they can locate all those texts and calls and records. No one ever did, but he gave it all. He was like a complete open book. Like, I just want to get it out there.
Yeah.
And to this day, no one has debunked him. No one has sued him for libel or defamation, which is crazy because he's out there talking his shit to anyone that will listen.
Exactly.
And no one sued him for it.
No one's challenging him.
That's crazy. Because if you challenge him, now you got to put all of your evidence into court in discovery.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is that it is better that he is not challenged, because going through discovery, through legal, bro, he's going to bring the hammer. Like, he's going to be like, oh, you want to know? Oof, here's all the documents. Here's all the stuff that I have on this, man. That would be pretty brutal. So let me ask the question. It's almost a decade later. Why does it matter now?
Obama's sexuality, I don't think matters. And let's be real, we all had our inklings.
Well, Joan Rivers died because she talked about it.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But yeah, she ate a big one. Because,
And the cook died recently.
which is interesting, and the choir director from that time
Yeah.
also died.
Yeah.
That was allegedly Barack Obama's lover and boyfriend.
Other lover, yeah. And his mother, there's a picture in a real magazine of his mom saying that Barack Hussein Obama killed my son because he was running for president.
And he knew too much.
Exactly. Don't want to know too much.
So the sexuality part, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But the way that the media covers it up, the way the propaganda machine goes into full force and hides things from you, Americans had a right to know. Not only his sexuality, but that he's been involved in questionable things.
Well, I think you and I both agree. If he's gay, he's gay. Who cares? I think the bigger issue, just like you just unpacked here, is the fact that the entire media apparatus and machine went to bat for Barack and made sure that this story was buried. I think that's the problem, is that we live in a world where we're constantly fed lies, obfuscation, right? No one knows the truth, and those that are trying to tell the truth don't ever get a lick of time on the media stage. And so I think that might be the bigger issue. But why, Tucker, why now is my question. And I'm curious as to what your thoughts are. Why is this beyond the, okay, media lies to us, we all know this, media obfuscates, they're opaque, we understand this. It's a decade old. Why, Tucker, why now?
I think it's to show the pattern that, for example, 2020 election, we had the Hunter Biden story right before the election.
Right.
They told us that it's Russian disinformation, that it's not true. But the reality is that if the rest of America knew that that was an actual thing, probably Joe Biden would not be president today.
Probably.
I'm going to say confidently that if that story had gone out, people that were on the fence would have went towards Trump.
Oh, for sure.
So even if they say the election wasn't stolen, suppressing that story and having the tech involved in suppressing the story, canceling people who posted that story, even the government telling tech companies to get rid of the story because it's fake, knowing that it was real. That in itself, I think, is also election interference. So there's a pattern here. We talk about all the time. One time is coincidence, two time is a trend. We are at pattern.
Oh, yeah. Obvious pattern at this point.
And then what are they going to do for the next election? Right?
Okay.
It just keeps on happening over and over again. And I think people need to be aware of it now, because when it happens for the upcoming election and whoever they put up and roll out there as, like if it were to be, let's say, Big Mike, if Michelle Obama decides that she's going to be president, and everyone will say, well, there's a rumor and there's a little bit of evidence that she may be a man.
Yes.
And they're going to say, you guys are full of shit. You guys are making it up. Fake news, Russian propaganda, and we're supposed to fall for it again.
Yeah.
It's a pattern.
Can I counter with a very obscure, different vantage point?
Okay.
I feel like we spent multiple podcasts in the past talking about blue-haired sheepdogs. And we live in a world where now I just saw, we can't pull it up, but I just saw today I think it's a UK man who is now a trans woman Muslim. And he wears a hijab. And he's got big boobs and everything. I mean, like, is he going to get killed by the Muslims out there in the UK? Probably, right? But we live in a world now where you can claim anything. And clearly the mainstream media and the core mainstream entertainment is all complicit. They love supporting the blue-haired sheepdog. So here's my very obscure vantage point. Yes, is it this guy?
Former Territorial Army male soldier, 28, becomes Britain's first transgender Muslim woman, and is now married.
Like how many?
I need to see a picture.
Funky words can you?
Let's get this. This is not really. That's not real, is it? This
new life. Lucy Vallender, 28, was formerly a male TA soldier, pictured clutching her beret, but she has since had a sex change and converted to Islam.
No, this is the B. This is not real, is
This
it?
Daily Mail, bro.
It's like the same thing.
That's basically the same thing. But I mean, like, let's be honest, guys. If he doesn't cover his face, there's no way in hell that you're going to assume that that's a woman. Anyway, let me get back to my point. Thanks, Will. I appreciate it. My point is that maybe they're releasing this and they're allowing the world to look at Barack in a different light and say, okay, you're gay. Bro, do you. No problem. But there is interesting rumblings that Michelle, Big Mike, might not be who she says she is. And since we're becoming more accepting of the blue-haired sheepdog mentality, maybe the ruse is to prop her up and say, it's okay for us to have the first trans president in Big Mike. Dude, this guy went. You don't think that could be it?
I definitely think that could be it. I think it's a combination of both.
Okay.
So you prop her up and you normalize trans.
We're normalizing that already.
Correct. At the same time, you're like, oh, but I can't believe you would call her that because what's wrong with that? You are a bigot for even questioning. So they do both sides.
But that's the point, is that any single conservative, actually scratch conservative, any critic of Big Mike as she runs for president, they'd be like, you're transphobic.
Well,
You're whatever phobic, right?
I think the narrative will be
the ultimate defense?
She is not, is what they're going to say. She is not. However, how dare you even question that she is, like that's a negative thing.
But if they
because for the people who think that, they normalize it to a degree. Like even for Barack, at that point in our lives, being gay was still rather normalized. It was, we were accepted. Everyone used to watch Will and Grace.
It's jumped the shark, bro. Like we no longer care if you're gay. Like,
Correct.
Let's be honest.
Nobody
cares.
But that was like Will and Grace, right? Right? Everyone's like, okay, like, you know, I want a gay neighbor, or I want a whatever. Right. So it was rather normalized, but they still denied it.
Well, the trans thing was just a little bit too fresh, just a little bit too edgy at that time. But now, I mean, if we look at, if you were an alien and you were to come to the world and you were to sit down, instead of saying, take me to your leader, let me watch mainstream media, the aliens would come and they would watch mainstream media and be like, clearly it's been normalized that you can choose whoever. I mean, we have an ex-military guy who's now a trans Muslim woman. They'd be like, clearly this is how these people work on Earth, right?
How dare he have sex before marriage? That is not the way. Just laying it out there. All right.
Okay.
He is not a good Muslim woman.
Bro, that guy clearly is not halal. He's not halal, guys. So I don't know. Maybe we're getting out too deep in the weeds here, but you got a lot of flack.
Yes.
Talking about this previously, which is why I kind of wanted to bring it up, because I haven't had the time to really go through the comments. But you've told me that you got major hate on both sides. And tell me about this. What did you incite? What nerve did you push in the public's eye for them to give you such vitriol?
Well, it was two things. Number one, who cares about sexuality? Why would you bring it up? Why do you hate gays? One. That's the obvious one.
All right, get over yourselves, guys.
Get over it.
Nobody cares if you're gay anymore.
The story is not about being gay. The story is about cover up of the media and the parallels between then and now. That's the main message of the story. Get over the gay thing. Number two, which is the one that a lot of people were pissed off about, especially our African American brothers. How dare you pick on the black president? No, I'm not picking on a black president. I'm picking on the president. I don't care what color this guy is. I don't care what sexuality is. If he's a president, he deserves ultimate scrutiny.
Oh, absolutely. People in glass houses shouldn't be throwing rocks, bro.
It has nothing to do with this race. But I can see why they're upset. Because if this turns out to be true, he ran for president as if he was going to do something miraculous for the black community. He didn't. He actually did more for the gay community than he did for the black community.
Bro.
And if you find out that this guy that we propped up, that we called for change and hope and change and got the t-shirts for, was actually going and helping someone else instead of helping us when he should have been helping us and we got him in power. Fuck that guy. So I can feel why they're mad. They're not mad at me. When people project these ideas in the comments saying, they go mad, I really don't think they're mad at me. They're mad at the idea like, damn it, we were duped again.
Yeah, you got rug pulled.
Yeah. And that's why I think people are mad. I get the comments, you can't make fun of the black president. Fine, I get it. But that's not why you're mad, bro.
Sometimes in let's just say unfiltered color commentaries, when the time is right, sometimes I just look at situations like this and say, look, I hate everybody equally. Like, trust me, your skin color, your size, whatever you claim to be has no bearing on the calculus of my color commentary. I don't give a fuck.
No.
Everybody is free reign. Everybody is out there. If you're out there in the public, guess what? You can be critiqued. You can be looked at. You can be investigated. It is what it is, right?
The other one I got, which I just thought of now, is, Matt, you only do these types of commentary against Democrats. You don't fairly go after Republicans. I was like, that's bullshit. I literally did 2 pieces back to back with Vivek.
Yeah, I know. Come on, guys. Come on,
So
wake
like
up, guys.
bullshit, because I literally did an entire week on one guy. And if the argument was you only attack skinny black guys or skinny brown guys, fine. That I can own.
Skinny brown guys. Okay.
I didn't say they did.
They both did, yeah.
They both did. And the parallels between these two is just, it's too close.
It's uncanny.
It is, isn't it?
It almost seems like there's some guy with his hand so far up both their asses that you can see literally the puppet moving their mouth.
Like both guys that have a questionable past, that have all these skeletons in the closet that people are asking questions about. And they're like, you can't ask about this. It's not true. You're a racist. You're a anti-democrat. You are a anti-liberty, freedom, whatever they want to call you, just for asking these questions. And they prop them up. And they talk well. They say exactly what you want to hear, but they don't actually say anything. And they go around on their tours and the media just props them up. They're like the same. They're like carbon copies of each other. And I can't believe people can't see that. That's so frustrating to me.
So Vivek is still on this media circus that he's doing. I'm curious, if he were to come on the Matt Kim podcast, what would you ask him differently?
I don't know if I'd ask him anything. I just want to sit here and get a feel of, do I trust this guy or not?
Like, is he? Here's the thought that I have is sitting across from it. Is he plastic or not? Like, is he a real person or not? Does he actually have real feelings? Or if you ask him something about his family, he moves into politician presentation mode, where he's like, yes, my family. That would be the thing that I'm most curious about is what happens when you turn off the lights, turn down the mic.
Did you guys see the clip going around online about him supposedly being a plant, where he was at this like town hall thing when he was like a little kid and he got to ask a question?
I did say that.
Yeah, wasn't he also with Pete?
Buttigieg?
No, I was going to say what Joe Biden called him.
Booty juice?
I love that. Pete Buttigieg.
I mean, there were a couple clips from the Larry Sinclair Q&A that I was listening to, and I was like, I can't believe this was relevant 15 years ago. And the one that stuck out the most, and if you replace the name Barack Obama with Vivek Ramaswamy, I feel like it reads the same. He said, Barack Obama is only charismatic by being molded that way. Once you take the teleprompters and the lights out from in front of him, you get a whole different person. I think you're looking at someone that's completely fake, plastic, that's been made up and put out in front of the American voter, and that's been allowed to walk away from any serious questions about any of his own personal actions. And I was listening to that, I was like, bro, I feel like he's speaking today. And then I'm thinking, I can't believe I'm writing Larry Sinclair quotes down.
He seems to have a very colored past, let's put it that way.
Dude, can we just mention real quickly what the best quote of that press conference was?
I'm thinking of several.
They asked him, you got to describe it. How well is Barack Obama hung? And he answered, Will, what was it, Will?
Not like this, bro.
He said something. He's a white boy in a black man's body with the white boys.
Oh, he's pretending. Oh, damn it, bro. He's pretending to be. He's a fake white boy. He's a fake black man living in a white boy's. Something like this. And I was like,
you gotta give it to us, because I feel okay. I was thinking of something else.
That was literally the last comment before he walked out of stage. and I was watching it, and I sent it to Will to watch when I first found it. And I was like, dude, you need to watch this. And whole time he's texting me, bro, what the fuck? What the hell? 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 And
so the press goes, was he well hung? And Larry Sinclair responds, Barack Obama is a wannabe black man with a white boy's.
Maybe Big Mike has gets compensating for it. You never know.
I have no idea.
You never. So my brain is so messed up sometimes. Sometimes I'm really curious. I think Big Mike is the man in the relationship, don't you?
No, because he
think so?
transitioned. He's a man that wants to be a woman.
Bro. I think
she just has
Hillary's
male
the man
attributes.
in the relationship.
Oh yeah,
right?
Hillary's totally Clinton's just a sock puppet, dude. That's all. Bill Clinton's just a sock puppet. Hillary runs the game. She probably sleeps with a 45 cal next to her head, dude.
And I did hear an interview with Tulsi Gabbard, and they asked her, like, there's an idea, and what people say is that Obama's really in charge of the Biden administration. And she said, actually, Obama's just the middleman. The Clintons are in charge, and it's actually Hillary that runs everything.
No,
That's what she said.
really.
Yeah.
So
And I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
I was about to say
Because if you take everything we know about Obama, the idea that he was propped up, that he's rolled out, that he smiles and he says what you want to hear, that he's just the puppet, and it's actually because let's be real, we are not in a place yet where the gay black guy is in charge of the country and the world. People are not ready for that, and not that we're not ready for that. It's that society and the establishment above society, the puppet masters. I don't think they're ready for that.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Aren't the puppet masters who run everything, aren't they a bunch of degens who want to ensure the denigration and dissolution of culture, of people groups? So we're all one people under one large government. There is no tension or friction between people groups because we're all the same. We're all a bunch of, androgynous androids with no PPs and no JJs. We're all just kind of, isn't that what they care about?
Rules for thee, not for me. They want us to be compliant. They want us to be the same. They want us to feel and be and act the same. They want us to be asexual. They want us to be apolitical, no nationality, no color, just all fighting together, but all merged into one compliant thing.
Exactly.
Ants.
Not
them. They retain their individuality. They retain their independence. They retain their individual control. Those rules only apply to us.
That's true.
Not those guys.
Rules for thee, not for me. You have just actually changed my brain around Clinton. Now, the Clintons are far more experienced in the game of politics than Barack Obama. And they're older. And they're more experienced. Enough said there. And we have a Clinton kill list that I think is up at 57 people. It is really curious. I don't know anybody that has lived as long as the Clintons that have had like close to 60 suicides around them. It's really an odd statistic.
Odd.
Anyway.
Coincidental.
But you've changed my mind because I was more on the side of Barack is the one behind Biden. He's the machine behind Biden. Because Biden, at this current rate, out of a 30-day month, 24 of those days he's on vacation. So he's not doing anything. So who could it be? People have said it's Barack, but the Clintons are far more experienced than Barack Obama in the game of politics.
Not the Clintons, just one.
And these Clintons have hundreds of millions, probably billions of dollars of nonprofit, all that multiple entities and all types of corporations. They got money everywhere. They have influence everywhere, and they can blackmail people. So you know what? I think I need to noodle on this a little bit more. But you have now turned the wheel for me, and I think I would, if someone were to say who's really running the country right now, Barack or Hillary. You know what? It used to be Barack. I think I'm thinking it's Hillary now because she's a freaking machine. She's a monster machine.
If you were to run and operate on the premise that Hillary Clinton is the one that's been doing all the stuff in the background, that's kind of in charge of the party. She ran in 2016 because it was her turn.
It was her turn.
She did what she needed to do. She put up the Obamas because probably someone was like, hey, maybe it's a good idea if we put him up. It'd probably be good for society. We can do a lot of stuff. Yep. It'd be good for the people and society if we had some diversity.
First black president. Now we're okay with the first women president.
Let's do him first.
Yeah,
and if anything, let's roll him out. Test the waters of new ideas. And then it was her turn. And she lost to this orange man.
The orange man.
That she was supposed to crush. And if that's the premise, then everything that transpired after makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you think about it in context.
Yeah. If you just plug in that one variable as Hillary is in charge and she was supposed to win the election, then literally everything that happens from 2016 until today all of a sudden falls into place.
Man.
It's weird how that type of logic works, right? Sometimes it's so hard to figure out where the missing piece is, but if you just plug in one, all of a sudden everything else works.
Yeah, it all kind of like locks in.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, what's fascinating to me is, guys, we don't know any answers here.
No.
But I can already imagine some of the trolls and some of the commenters being like, y'all are crazy. I'm never going to subscribe to you, ever going to unsubscribe because you're talking about conspiracy.
You'll be back.
You're talking about conspiracy theories. Is there anyone out there that truly believes that Joe Biden is actually running this complex country? Like, come on. Let's be intellectually honest, guys. There is no way that this man who spends most of his time at the beach and at his house and his other vacation homes, there's no way this guy is, first off, he's not even cogent. He's not even awake. He's not even there. Did you see him walk out of the military thing the other day? This was just yesterday. Maybe you can find the clip. He's at a military Medal of Honor award ceremony. And he gets up, looks confused like he usually does, and just walks out right before they give the medals.
He walked out before the ceremony, or was it during the benediction where they were supposed to pray?
All I know is
He walked out when he was not supposed to.
all I know is that if you are cogent, if you are cognitively there, you would know from pomp and circumstance and basic situational awareness that you probably shouldn't be walking out right now. So is there any question as to why there's coke in the White House? Absolutely not. That you gotta coke the man up so it can actually function.
So one of the things I've been going on, actually on everyone's podcast now, is a take on what you say and a mixture of a couple of things I've been thinking about. Let me run it by you. This has been my talking point.
Oh, okay.
We are now in the humiliation phase.
Yes.
Credit that to Peter.
Yes, we are in the humiliation phase.
When Kamala Harris says something, depopulation, we think it's a joke and she messed up. What if she did it on purpose?
Of course she did.
When Joe Biden says, I sold state secrets, and we say, oh, he was joking, look at him, ha, 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 you crazy old man. Did it on purpose.
Oh, it is the benediction.
Yeah.
Yep.
When they find cocaine at the White House and Hunter Biden comes out 2 days later going,
Come on, bro.
that's intentional. They are rubbing it in your face that they know what's going on. When Biden tweets, and not him, but when Biden tweets, we are laser focused on Maui. They know this is what people are thinking about. They're rubbing it in your face. They're trying to humiliate you. You know?
I agree. I 100%. We have talked about this before. I haven't brought it up again because it is what it is to me. But absolutely, we live in the current phase is called the humiliation phase, where they literally are laughing at us, thinking that we do not see past the veil. And it's. I mean, they could literally go on TV and say, "We're going to kill these people over here." Just a joke. And then it actually happens, and everyone's like, coincidence. It's like, well, let me go on this isn't conspiracy, by the way. This is actually documented, and Will, you can look it up. In the Masonic world, the world of the Freemasons, if you are at the top level of the pyramid of the Masonic world, I believe, and please, Will, I'd love a spot check on this, I believe part of the doctrine, part of the dogma of being the 33 degree Mason or the highest level Mason is you actually have to tell people what you're going to do. It's part of the rules. And you might say, well, that seems really odd. Why would you have a rule that you would tell the world about the malfeasance that you're about to do? And the reason is, from what I've read and understood, is that makes you blameless. You told everybody you were going to do that. You told them you were going to depopulate the world. Bill Gates told us that we better be ready for the next pandemic. We better be ready because it's coming, right? We were told that we were told that we should be laser focused on, like, words have meaning. And if you're in the upper echelons of these societies that you and I will most likely never touch, there are absolutely rules that must be followed in these high societies. If you don't follow the rules, you're done, right? And so I believe, and maybe you're looking it up, I believe part of the Masonic dogma, especially if you're at the highest level, is you have to tell the world the malfeasance you're about to do. And so if we follow that pattern, if we follow that logic, then it absolutely makes sense that the world leaders today, like your Klaus Schwab, who there's so many videos of him literally telling us, I'm going to destroy the world. We're going to live in 15-minute cities. You're going to own nothing, and you're going to love it, right? You're going to be a slave, and you're going to eat bugs. Like, people don't wake up and make this stuff up. So, I'm curious. Do you agree with anything that I just said?
I agree with 100% of what you say.
Oh,
It is a scary thought that they are essentially practicing their rituals at the detriment of us, of normal people.
it's a really good word. Rituals. They are rituals. Yeah.
Yes. And I think it's concerning when people willingly participate in the lesser rituals like Burning Man, which was a cluster this weekend.
Oh, bro. Did you hear the rumor?
That it was,
Ebola?
yeah.
Did you hear about they sent FEMA in, they're quarantining them?
Well, that's what they say. And then other people are like, no, it's not true. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I don't know what's true.
Exactly. But if you think about it, that's a great location to close the doors on 80,000 people and be like, what happens if we throw a ridiculously, harmful virus in it? Let's see what happens. Like, there are machinations and there are people way beyond our vantage points that are conjuring up these type of experiments and these types of things. And I no longer live in a world where I believe in just pure coincidence. There are arms and legs and hands and fingers moving behind the scenes.
So Burning Man is typically, a lot of people attend, but there are very rich, wealthy elite that have the most fun,
Of course.
right?
The debauchery is amazing from what I heard.
And this is a event that they are very proud of, that they consider, the ritual of burning the effigy,
Effigy, yeah.
burning the effigy, of doing these Mad Max type cage matches and
Bloodsport, yeah.
and having sex on top of weird buildings, and it's chaos.
The orgies, bro. The drugs.
And they make it look like there's a lot of pretty women. There's a very small select group of pretty women dedicated to
the elite.
And
Yeah.
everyone is fat and ugly.
It's only Leonardo DiCaprio, bro. Only Leo gets all the tens.
So if you are one of the elite and Burning Man, and this is your way into maybe the greater society,
Oh, initiation.
and these normal commoners are showing up at your event and ruining it. There's
see
too
what you're
many of them
talking
here.
about.
They're ruining my fun. They're ruining my praise. They're ruining my burning of the effigy, because this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I don't want all these peons, all these normal people, part of my thing.
Yeah.
How do we get rid of them?
Again, audience out there, we don't have any answers, but we have eyeballs. And since we both agree we're in the humiliation phase, that's what they're trying to convince us otherwise. They're going to say, don't believe your eyes. Don't believe the obvious patterns that you see before you. That's when we get into really scary territory, because people are literally no longer believing their eyes and their ears and their natural God-given instincts. I find that to be absolutely insane that people are giving up their bodily autonomy and saying, the man on the screen tells me what I should do, I should believe him. Even though my eyes tell me that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, my ears doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and my brain is having a hard time computing this idea. The man on the screen is telling me what to do.
Because this week I've been extremely confused.
Tell me.
Just, I can't wrap my head around this one concept. Apparently, Jill Biden has COVID.
I didn't know you were going there. You and I guffawed when I first saw that. I was like, oh my God, really? Is it like this now?
Double vaxxed.
Yes.
She is double boosted. And all I can think is she must be an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah.
Because she only has 4 shots. At her age, she's supposed to be having them every 3 months.
Yep.
How dare she threaten all of our lives, threaten all the people around us, and only get 4 shots? Exactly. This is ridiculous.
We're actually up to, I think, 9 now.
9.
On the schedule.
And she only has 4.
She's halfway there.
She must be an anti-vaxxer. This is ridiculous.
I think it is a travesty to our democracy.
Yeah.
Actually, I'd go even farther. It's an attack on our democracy.
She is trying to ruin society.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What about our grandparents? How are we supposed to protect them when we have people like Joe Biden only getting 4 shots? This is, I don't know. I was so mad and so frustrated because she has 4 shots. Only 4.
She's not doing her duty.
No. And I saw her outside without her mask on.
Good Lord.
You almost figured it out.
Good Lord. The sacrilege. The sacrilege. I cannot believe that she would. She's just an uncaring soul, man.
She just does not care.
She just doesn't care anymore about people.
She does not believe in the science. This is ridiculous. And I hope Joe Biden is okay. Because they were close together. They were holding hands. They may have even kissed without the face shield on. They may have.
Really?
It's possible.
I can't imagine them actually.
I mean, it was probably like really slow and awkward and weird. And maybe for camera.
It's really sick that whenever I think about Joe Biden kissing, I think about him kissing kids.
Okay, I don't want to think.
How sick is that, bro? But my eyes have showed me that, right? And I'm supposed to not believe my eyes that we have all these pictures on the internets of this old man talking about how kids like to rub his hairy legs and like he likes to. Did you see the recent one where I think it was a black girl, I'm not sure, a person of color, was holding up. Maybe it was an Asian girl, was holding up a camera with Joe, and he said on the camera, he's like, "You're such a sexy like teenager."
Is that real?
Bro, please look that up, Will. I'm not making this up. I saw this on, I don't know if it's an AI deep fake.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I saw it on the internets, and it just made me once again reinforce the pattern that we've seen so many times. And I will also bring up, Will, if you can find it, there was a video just yesterday, or maybe it was earlier today, where Joe Biden looked like he was really angry about putting on a mask at a conference or at a speaking thing where he was announcing something. He talked about, don't make sure that you don't make it look like I didn't have it on, off the stage. I had it on the stage, but he looked really miffed. He looked frustrated that he himself had to wear the diaper mask.
How dare he?
I think he's just insensitive.
I mean, he is putting everyone at risk.
Absolutely, he's putting
all
everyone at risk.
4 people that show up to
Look,
his
there
event.
you go. That's what I'm talking about. Don't tell them I didn't have it on. Biden flaunts not wearing a mask after COVID response. Washington. President Joe Biden, as you're loading that up, joked about the advertisement we're about to see of Nina Takeshi's designer rug collection. Joe Biden joked about not wearing a mask Wednesday following this week's positive COVID-19 test. His wife, First Lady Joe Biden. I was trying to be helpful.
Thank you, guys. So, one final thing. Before we move out, I just want to bring it up that I have a quick story that restored my faith in humanity. And I'd like to end on something positive.
I like this. We'll take it.
We are going to move.
You brought that up. I already forgot. Why?
So
For those, and we're not giving away any trade secrets here, but the brother literally lives 5 minutes away from this office.
probably less than.
Maybe even less, yeah.
I love where I live. Absolutely love it. A house came for sale like 4 doors down from where my parents live. On the same street, on the same street.
Up north.
Up north. Literally, they live on the corner of a lake. The house that's 4 doors down is literally in the middle of the lake. And when it came for sale like a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, we're like, oh, look, this is a beautiful house. There's no way we're going to get it. 1 million people are going to offer on this house. And we didn't even think about it. We didn't even look at it, etc. And for whatever reason, the deal fell through on that house. Per chance, we ended up meeting the owners of this house.
How?
Oh, we were going to go like tour it and look at
Because
it.
you don't hang out up there all the
No,
time.
no,
Well,
we
your
were-
wife is going up there with the baby a lot, right?
Yeah, so we were just going to look at it while we were there, and they just happened to be home on their way out. And we're like, why don't you just stick around? Like, we're just going to be quick. I just want to take a peek.
Fair enough.
Don't pretend like you have to go somewhere. Not a big deal. And we ended up chatting and talking about life, about this. I told them about my family. They got to meet my daughter. And after our time together, which is like maybe a good hour and a half, again, we met as neighbors, not like we're trying to buy your house.
Oh, your parents' neighbors.
Correct. And afterwards, they were like, we want you guys to own our house.
Dude, wow. That is like real humanity there.
Because I was like, we have a slew of contingencies.
Yeah.
First, we were not planning on buying a house, so we're not ready to sell our house.
Mm-hmm.
We need to sell our house to buy your house.
Yeah.
So we need extra long closing. We need all these contingencies built in. We need someone that can be really flexible. And if you can't do it, we understand. You can sell it to someone else.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like in this day and age, you buy a house, no contingencies, and if that's the one you want, you get it on immediately, and you hope and you pray to God that you're the one chosen.
Exactly.
That's how house buying works, especially in our side of Georgia.
Absolutely.
Very hot. And they're like, no, we love that you want to be close to your parents. We love that you want to raise your kid in a more family environment. We love what you do, and we love everything about, like everything that we've done and spoke about today. We really want you to own our house.
Wow.
So if you need 2 months to close, 3 months to close, you let us know. We'll work with you.
Wow.
And they lowered the price for us
Oh,
because we told them, like, we're really at the max of what we can pay.
yeah.
Lowered it to make it more affordable for us. So they are really going out of their way.
Oh, they don't owe you jack.
We met them one time in our life.
They don't know. Before that, they didn't know you from Joe.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Wow. That's so cool.
And we talked about this early coming in. Just looking at someone, smiling, being open,
Yeah.
telling your story, being honest, open, genuine. People do really appreciate that, especially in a day and age where everything seems so manufactured, where everything seems so fake, where everything feels like people are performative. When you get an opportunity to have a real, honest, genuine interaction with someone,
Flesh and blood.
I encourage people to do more of that. Because again, and Will is probably frustrated because he's been trying to buy a house for like 6 months, a year. And everything he tries to get into, like it's impossible. It's that difficult to buy a house in Georgia right now.
Will, do not come.
And every time I talk about Georgia, he's like, stop talking about Georgia. We don't need more people here. And
Are you one of those?
We're full.
Wait, you don't like all the Californians trickling in?
No, they're driving all the pricing up.
Bro, say less.
And with all of that going on and how difficult it is to buy, sell, trade houses these days, for all of it just to work out, number one, I feel like I'm truly blessed. Like this was supposed to happen. Because for me, it's a pain in the butt. I got to drive 30 minutes north every day, 30 minutes south. I'm adding an hour of commute to my life. But it's better for my wife. It's better for my daughter. And as my parents age, it's better for them to have us around and being helpful, and having their granddaughter around keeps them young. So I'm willing to make the sacrifice for them and just for it to work out. If this house wasn't the house we're going to buy, we're not going to move. It's not like we're looking to buy a house. We have no intention of moving. This is just the exact perfect house for exactly what we need at the most opportune time. and we met the exact sellers that would open their hearts to us. And I don't know, I'm blown away by the experience.
Well,
it's so crazy.
I'll tell you straight from my heart, that's God. It's God. It's providence. It's exactly, and I'm not going to wax poetic on spirituality here, but there have been times, I'm sure you've experienced these before. There are times when you are on the right path and the world around you just opens up the right pathways because your intentions are good, your intentions are pure, you don't have any ulterior motives, you're just being human, flesh and blood. And I think the universe, God, enjoys giving in those moments, enjoys blessing in those moments. And so everything that you've just told me, everything that I just heard about this awesome opportunity, yeah, it's 30 minutes. And you said sacrifice. Shut the fuck up. You ain't sacrificing shit. You're getting an amazing house by a lake with near your parents, that your daughter and your wife can hang out with just 4 doors down. I mean, this is absolutely the universe, God, saying you're on the right path. Let's give you a little bit of break because you are running ragged. You are busting your ass on both sides, burning candle from both ends. And I think this is just a great way of staying appreciative, staying humble, staying faithful. So I'm really encouraged that you are willing to share this. And I can't wait for your housewarming party because I'm showing up.
Yeah, you guys need to come up.
Bro,
it's awesome up there.
I'm showing up, man. Absolutely.
So on that note, everyone, do something good for somebody else today.
Yeah. Be good to people, guys.
There are a lot of bad things out in the world, but it doesn't inhibit us from being good people.
Be human.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. See you next week. Yeah, good.
Well,
Yeah, how crazy is that?